He stood there barefoot, wearing a pressed shirt and an expensive watch, a tall, striking black man with impeccable posture, while a TSA officer crumpled his suit and dug through his briefcase without so much as glancing at his papers. Cameras surrounded him, eyes watched in tense silence, and the room was drenched in deafening stillness. And then a name flashed across the monitor behind him, VIP, Mr. James Hawkins, SkyFirst Global. At that moment, the terminal manager rushed to the checkpoint, shouting, "Do you even realize who you just humiliated?" But let's start from the beginning. Los Angeles International Airport. 6:43 a.m. The security checkpoint is bathed in artificial light. White-gray walls, scanners, belt barriers, and the restrained murmur of voices, footsteps, and metal trays. The whole area breathes routine, tired faces, coffee in plastic cups, laptops in bins, belts in hand. The line crawls forward slowly. Passengers yawn, scroll through phones. But one TSA agent, Daniel Cooper, a white man around 40, in a perfectly pressed uniform and with a clenched jaw, watches differently. His gaze doesn't just sweep the crowd. It locks in. A tall black man, around 45, strides toward him. He's dressed in a flawlessly tailored navy blue suit. His white shirt is crisp to the point of a snap, a Patek Philippe watch gleams on his wrist, and in his hand, a monogrammed leather briefcase. His pace is calm. He smiles politely at the officer and hands over his passport. Daniel narrows his eyes. The man looks too put together. Too respectable. Too calm. It rubs him the wrong way. An unspoken thought rises in his head: who do you think you are to be that confident? Secondary check. Step aside, sir, he says flatly, not even glancing at the passport. James Hawkins, a successful banker and global investor, stops. His movements are measured, his voice even. Is there a reason, officer? Just a routine check. Over there. Hands up. He doesn't resist. He just looks. His eyes narrow, not in fear, but in assessment. He knows, this isn't about safety. It's about control. About power. Daniel snaps on blue latex gloves. His face remains unreadable. He skips the usual phrases, "Sorry for the inconvenience," or "This'll just take a minute." Instead, everything proceeds with cold, mechanical precision. Shoes off. Open the case. Jacket unbuttoned. The line starts to slow. A woman in a sports jacket raises her phone. Someone hides behind a magazine, peeking over the edge. James sees it all. But says nothing. He places the case down. It's opened. Its contents, tablet, documents, personal papers, are sifted through carelessly, indifferently. The lining is probed. The suit is wrinkled, the seams scratched with a fingernail. They touch the shirt like it's evidence. He doesn't flinch. Doesn't get angry. Doesn't protest. He breathes deeper, like someone who's been here before. But this time, it stings a little more. Not because of the gloves. Not because of the gesture. But because it's happened again. It's not the first time. Are you looking for something specific? James asks quietly. Just following procedure, Daniel mutters, still avoiding eye contact. The silence grows louder than voices. Someone coughs. Others look away. But no one speaks. Because no one wants to be next. And then comes the realization. James doesn't feel humiliated. That feeling dulled long ago. What he feels now is pain. That even here, in business class, in a luxury suit, with a name known to half the boardrooms in America, he's still just a random check. He stands, tall, black, wealthy. But in the eyes of the men with the gloves, he's just a suspect. And as the case snaps shut and the line starts moving again, the world shifts. For some, toward fear. For him, toward resolve. Silence, the loudest thing you can hear in a crowded terminal. Daniel keeps rummaging, like he's searching for validation. Fingers still gloved, his face now twisted in focus, or maybe anxiety. But suddenly, his attention is yanked away by the flicker of a screen. Above the counter, an ad blinks away, replaced by an official welcome message, "Welcome VIP, Mr. James Hawkins, Black Platinum status, SkyFirst Global." For a split second, the entire terminal seems to stop breathing. Footsteps. Fast. Purposeful. A woman in her 50s emerges from the crowd, dressed in a sharp navy pantsuit, hair pulled into a high ponytail, her face carved from resolve. Lauren Townsend, terminal manager. Latina. Known in the aviation world for her no-nonsense leadership. Her eyes lock on the screen. Then on James. Then on Daniel. And something inside her boils over. "Are you kidding me?" She snaps, ice and fury in her voice, abandoning any pretense of formality. "Do you even realize who you're searching?" The silence shatters. People stop blinking. This man is one of our largest investors. He owns 6% of the company that owns this terminal. Daniel turns pale. Not just pale, hollowed. His hand slips from the case. His lips tremble. He tries to form a word but only stammers, I didn't know." "Exactly." Lauren's voice is steel. "You didn't even look at his ID. You saw a man, and you saw a threat. You ran the script. And it's going to cost you your job." Behind them, murmurs. Soft at first. Then louder. Someone starts clapping. Then more join in. Phones lift. Whispers spread, "He's the owner." "Is that Hawkins from Global Bank?" "Damn, he was on the Forbes cover." James stands still. His posture, unchanged. But his face now carved from stone. His eyes, not anger, not shock. Control. The frozen focus of a man who can speak louder by not raising his voice. He speaks quietly. No shout, no rage. But his words carry weight. Gravity. The kind of authority that doesn't need to yell. "I'm used to being humiliated," his voice echoes through the terminal. "But not on my own turf." Each word, a hammer through glass. And in that moment, everything flips. Daniel is no longer the agent, he's the violator. James is no longer the suspect, he's the master. And the airport is no longer a checkpoint. It's his domain. No one dares to look down on him again. The video, shot on an iPhone by a teenager at the security checkpoint, first surfaced on Twitter. Then it exploded, picked up by CNN, BuzzFeed, The Guardian. By 9 a.m. LA time, the clip titled "VIP Businessman Racially Profiled at LAX" had over 3 million views. The camera shook, but the footage was clear: a TSA agent in gloves tearing through a briefcase, a man in a suit standing still, a woman's voice off camera, "Did you even look at his ID? Why didn't you check his ID?" The comments poured in like an avalanche, and this is how they treat a VIP. Imagine how they treat the rest of us. He owns part of the terminal. And they're wrinkling his suit. Just another face in a random check. For some, it was just another viral video. But for those who knew James Hawkins, it was a shock. 45 years old. Harvard Business School alum. Chairman of the board at Orion Bank. One of the biggest private donors to TSA reform, $4.8 million in personal contributions over a decade. He didn't just talk about change. He funded it. And now, he had become the face of what he tried to eliminate. But James didn't disappear. He didn't hide. He went live. A CBS interview. Soft lighting in the studio, calm tone, straight posture, no finger-pointing, just facts. This wasn't just a mistake. It's a mindset. It's how people are viewed through the lens of skin color. And if this happens to me, with VIP status, with investments, with a name, imagine what happens to those without a camera, without a terminal manager, without airline shares. The nation listened. He didn't ask for compensation. He didn't threaten lawsuits. He filed an official complaint, and asked for one thing: a public apology from the TSA. and mandatory retraining for all staff. I don't want revenge, he said at the end. I want the next man, whether in a suit or a hoodie, to feel equally protected. And it wasn't just an interview. It was a statement, on behalf of millions. It sparked pressure. It shifted the narrative. It marked the beginning of a new chapter. On the fourth morning after the incident, live on CNN, the TSA director removed his glasses, looked into the camera, and said, "I apologize to Mr. James Hawkins. This should not have happened. Not to him. Not to anyone." The words were prepared, precise, but his voice trembled. Because in the past 3 days, the country hadn't just watched. It had noticed. It remembered. TSA agent Daniel Cooper was fired. Not for a mistake, but for systemic protocol violations and failure to check ID before initiating a search. His entire shift was sent through emergency retraining. New guidelines were issued. New video trainings rolled out. At the terminal entrance, new signs appeared: "We screen for safety. Not for people." And all of it, not for a report. But because James Hawkins didn't stay silent. He didn't post a rant. He didn't demand millions. He stepped into the light with an idea stronger than outrage: VIP isn't a status. VIP is a person. Any person. A week later, his photo graced the cover of Time. He stood in the terminal walkway, no suit, just a hoodie. In his hand, a boarding pass. The caption read, "James Hawkins. The man who made airports see people, not profiles." Forbes named him one of the voices that changed business. But James didn't celebrate. In another interview, he said softly, "I'm not glad it happened. I'm glad it was seen." It wasn't just a phrase. It was the conclusion. And the beginning. The story of James Hawkins became a movement. Congressional hearings began. Nonprofits received funding for anti-racial profiling initiatives. Schools used it as a case study in civil courage, without shouting, without violence. He didn't seek fame. He achieved change. The story ended on a triumphant note, quiet, like respect. And the trace it left behind didn't just alter airport policy. It changed millions of perceptions. And that means, it changed the country.